Okay, we're picking up at the bottom in our book of page 132. We're getting so close to the end, everybody. This is crazy. Trent knew that this was the moment of decision, to go on or to stop. Simple, really. Dismiss the boy and send him back to his everyday, ordinary life, not knowing the fate he had just missed. Or should he dig deeper? Call upon all his own cunning and experience to find out if evil did lurk in the boy, if his appearance of innocence was just that, an appearance, a facade, a mask. But you know it isn't. Trent dismissed the small voice inside of him. Let's calm down, Trent heard himself saying in his most reasonable voice. Let's simply look at the facts, the case against you, and then find a way to mitigate it. The boy shook his head. Why do we have to do that? Why would the police think that he paused, obviously could not bring himself to say the fatal word, did what they say I did? It's all those things we spoke about earlier, Jason. Motive and opportunity. The absence of other suspects. No one saw Alicia after you left her that day. By your own admission, you saw no one in town who was a stranger or who acted suspiciously. Nobody else did. Alicia's parents, her brother, all can be accounted for. Trent purposely avoided using the word alibi. You can't account for your actions, have no witnesses to what you were doing between 4 and 5 o'clock, which was the time of Alicia's death. You have a disposition toward violence. What? Astounded at this suggestion. Everything that the questioner was saying was preposterous, but especially this disposition towards violence stuff. I'm only stating what the police believe. You attacked that boy last year in the cafeteria without provocation. I don't know about provocation, but he was a bully. Sneaky, too. He did things to kids when he thought nobody was looking. He cornered Rebecca Tolan and touched her. Did she report him? Jason shook his head, angry at himself for not doing a better job of explaining what had happened. You see, no one saw him do those things. All they know is that one day, without any reason, you knocked him down in the cafeteria in front of your classmates. Everybody saw you do that. Nobody saw what you say he did. Jason was bothered again by Mr. Trent's choice of words, always leaving a doubt about Jason's behavior. Nobody saw what you say he did. Plus these horror stories you love to read and the violent movies you love to see. I don't love them. I like them, but I like other stuff too. Look, Jason, I'm only stating what they think. I'm trying to show you the seriousness of your situation. You are their prime suspect. They have evidence against you. No one else fits the profile. Silence fell, and Trent let it gather. Surreptitiously, he checked the recorder, saw the pulsing light that indicated the interrogation was being taped. All was going the way he had assumed it would go. The boy had stepped almost willingly into the trap, and now the trap was closing around him. I want to go home, Jason said. Let me tell you something, Jason. You're safe here with me. Once you step out that door, there is nothing, nobody to protect you. Here, we can devise a way to help you, keep you safe. How? Eager with hope suddenly. By devising a strategy. The boy frowned, obviously at a loss, at his most vulnerable now, floundering, helpless. Trent had to alter their relationship, must now become the boy's advocate. This is the position you're in, Jason. You're the prime suspect. Wait a minute, the boy said. Yes, I came here because I was supposed to be helping you and the police, but that wasn't true, was it? Not entirely, Trent admitted. It would have been wonderful if you have had your assistance, or if you could have provided evidence that would point the finger of guilt elsewhere. That would have made me very happy. But that didn't happen, Jason. And we're left with the only evidence at hand. The evidence that points to you as the killer of Alicia Bartlett. Before the boy could answer, Trent went on, I know you claim that you are innocent. But you see, it's only a claim with nothing to support it. But let's leave it all aside for a moment and think of what you should do. What strategy should be employed? I'm trying to help you here, Jason. How can you help me? Jason asked, bewildered, finding it hard to believe what he was asking. First of all, we can't have any deception involved. We have to be straight to the point. Keep it simple. Are you Catholic, Jason? My mother and father, my sister, we go to church almost every Sunday. Then you know about confession and absolution. Yes, but I only went to confession once or twice. I haven't gone for a while. So you know how it all works. How first you confess, and then you're given absolution. You have to admit your sins before you can be forgiven. Jason nodded, wondering what being Catholic and going to confession had to do with his situation here, his sudden predicament. Well, there's something you have to do before we can take steps to protect you. A dim warning sounded somewhere in Jason's mind, his body, his spirit. He wasn't sure which or where, but was suddenly jolted thoroughly. Confession? A different word from confess. He suddenly saw where this man was going. He wanted Jason to confess. To confess killing Alicia Bartlett. Jason almost giggled in his disbelief, a reaction that was as unpremeditated and unexpected as a belch. You want me to say I killed Alicia Bartlett? Horror, disbelief in his voice. If you leave this room right now, this minute, without any admission, there's no telling what's waiting for you outside. Angry people can turn very ugly. It doesn't take much to start a riot. Tell me what happens then if he could not bring himself to say the word. Would never say the word. Would never do what the word meant he would have to do. I will have your voice on record, Trent said, indicating the recorder and the pulsing green light. I'll go out and run interference for you. Tell the authorities out there the mitigating circumstances, how you're cooperating. Everything will be shown in the best possible light. The atmosphere will be friendly, not hostile. No one will be looking to shut you up in prison for the rest of your life. You'll receive consideration and understanding, helping hands. It's possible that you can go home today, be with your family. The charge can possibly be reduced. All kinds of good things can happen in contrast to the worst scenario. Life in prison, away from your family, hated by people in town, your schoolmates. Once you make that admission, we can save you from all of that. But I can't do that. Let me emphasize the situation, Jason. Outside this door, there are officers waiting to charge you with the murder of Alicia Bartlett. Once you step outside, you will have no protection. Your age won't save you. There's a law now that allows a juvenile like yourself to be tried as an adult. Which means life in prison without parole or worse. And you'll be looked upon as a murderer without any defenses. But there's a way to mitigate that outcome. What way? by showing that you are not a cold-blooded murderer, by showing that you did not mean to harm Alicia, that you are sorry that it happened. But I didn't kill her. I know. Denial is part of the defense mechanism. Because you didn't mean to do it, it translates in your mind to the belief that you didn't do it. That's entirely understandable, Jason. What you did in one blinding moment gets blotted out in your memory, and you convince yourself that you didn't do it. But I didn't. You see? You're still in denial. And that's the worst thing that you can be at this moment. You must turn away from that denial, and then you'll have a better chance. What kind of better chance? A better chance to minimize the case against you. Once you make the admission, then your defense can begin to work. Your side of the case can be presented in the best possible light. People will see your side of the story. They will see that you are really a good kid, deserve the best treatment. I can't reiterate enough how terrible it can be otherwise. The town outside, your friends and neighbors ready to rise against you. But if we show them your sorrow, your remorse, you can change things around. Tears were tiny pools in the corner of the boy's eyes. Trent, for the first time, found it hard to look into the eyes of a subject. He turned his own eyes to the door, as if his glance could cause it to swing open and allow the entrance of Braxton to announce that the killer had been found, detained and arrested, and that Jason Durant was free to go. Which meant that Trent was also free to go. This responsibility lifted. More than that, this act of betrayal unnecessary. Betrayal. The act finally defined. Turning from the thought, Trent directed his eyes to the boy in his attitude of innocence. That attitude would not show up on tape. Only his words. He also knew that he would never get this boy to sign a confession, that even his confession on tape would probably not hold up later. But he was not concerned with that now. He had been sent into this office to make this boy confess. Today. That was his mission and what he intended to do. Make this boy utter the words that Trent must have on tape. Listen, he said to the boy. The boy inclined his head, his eyes beseeching Trent as if Trent had all the answers and the solution as well as the answers. Hear the silence, Jason, out there in the hallway? Yes, a whisper. It's a terrible kind of silence. It's people waiting with bated breath to see who leaves this room. A cold-blooded monster who killed a child? Or a nice kid from a good family who's never been in trouble before, no police record, who's human, makes mistakes like everyone else in the world. People will understand. They'll be rooting for you. But you must act first, Jason. It's all up to you. Trent could see the despair in the boy's eyes, his body drooping with weariness, the trembling of his chin, the tears staining his face. He sensed the imminent moment of success, felt the sweet thrill of triumph, everything else cast aside for the moment, all doubts gone. This was what he was hired to do, what he was born to do. You are what you do. Lottie and Sarah. 5 minutes later, the boy uttered the words Trent needed to hear. As the machine whirred, recording the bruised and broken voice.